Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are working on the 07 again tonight. We got back from US Diesel Parts earlier this morning. Went home, slept. My wife was gone. She went down to go see her family while I was gone for the weekend. And I can't sleep because I decided to fall asleep at like 5 p.m. And now we're gonna go ahead, get unloaded, and fix the truck a little bit. First thing, we gotta swap back to the 420s. As much as I love these Interco Trucks' STS's, they're not the best on the street. They're also not the cheapest. So I want to go ahead and pull these off and save them for sled pulling. But they did do us extremely well, and I'm very happy. And then the other problem we had was the turbo that ate itself, the compressor wheel. So we'll go ahead and probably pull the intercooler, clean all that out, as well as get the 67 HE351 stabbed back in here. So that way we're ready to go daily drive this thing once more. Okay, so we have the fancy stancy wheels and tires back on. Now we're gonna go ahead and work on the turbo. So we gotta get this one off, get the compressor wheel swapped around so we can go back to our 67. And because we had that compressor wheel failure, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the intercooler and clean it. I think we were probably okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and just pull it. Better safe than sorry. So I'll go ahead, get this intercooler pulled off, and show you guys what we find on the inlet side. We got extremely lucky, as you guys can see here. We don't have any oil in the charge pipe because the shaft didn't break. It just started puking oil into the exhaust. We don't have to clean out the oil. Now, when I have a turbo failure and it does push oil in there, I usually use Simple Green and Dawn dish soap, shake it up. Something that's worked really good in the past for us is we'll actually attach it to like the forklift and drive it around the parking lot and kind of jolt it around. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what comes out of this. Let me find a good spot for the camera here. So you shake it a little. I don't hear anything big, which is a good sign. So just a couple of small pieces of cast compressor wheel. Really not that bad. Not bad at all. The one nice part about cast compressor wheels over billet compressor wheels, cast compressor wheels tend to almost like disintegrate in a way, whereas the billet ones tend to leave little chunks that are left behind. So honestly, not seeing much. Hit it with a little air, see if we can get anything to move. Obviously it's not. Oh, there it is. There's some, you guys kind of see the little shrapnel there. The one really nice part about these On3 intercoolers, it's very hard to get debris from this side to this side. The stock ones aren't terrible either, but I have on occasion see it make its way through. Radiator looks pretty clean. I think it's dusty sled pulling, man, I tell you. So we'll go ahead and basically, I'm just gonna flush it out with water, but from what I'm seeing, shouldn't be too bad. Again, there was no oil, so basically I just rotate the hose, try to get it down both end tanks, let it run out. Only saw one small part of debris. Really doesn't take long. And then you guys can see we kind of work it over to that side. And from here, I'm gonna call this good. Again, this is more of a preventative measure more than anything else. All right, now while we're working on the turbo, I'll let this kind of air dry. I usually blow it out to help speed up the process. But just remember, guys, water injection, kind of the same thing. Now, I wouldn't leave it with gallons, but as long as the low point is this, you're gonna get a majority of it out. And one of the cool things that On3 has done in recent years, you guys see that bar in there? to stop the end tanks from blowing apart. Some of the other manufacturers should really take some notes on that. One thing I did want to share with you guys, it's kind of hard to see, but this turbine wheel actually rubbed. And I think that's what held our power down a little bit. You guys can kind of see here where it had rubbed on the turbine housing. Not exactly sure if I didn't get it fully seated or what. Made good power here, didn't make great power. And this was something that I found when we were hot swapping. But I figured I'd share it with you guys. A little mistake on my part. Not a big deal. This turbo is ridiculously old. Probably still work great in compounds. So we'll put it on the shelf, but that little bit of turbine wheel does a lot for the power potential, especially when it's making its own turbine area right there. Kind of sucks, but you guys can see it's not just like where we pulled it out. It's just this bottom portion here. So now let's go ahead and get this charger off. I'll go ahead and get you guys set up on a time lapse, and we'll get it to the point where we can work on it, and I'll show you the damage. So you guys see some of the oil residue left in there. Because we sled pulled on a fresh bearing cartridge, it really did clean that up quite a bit, which is always a good thing. We've got our wastegate. You guys see that back there? Kind of a cool way to look at an HE351. The fact that it comes apart like an S400 just makes life so much easier. So over here, you guys can see the damage to that compressor wheel. Again, we caught it really early. It just kind of snagged the cover. What's crazy is the turbine wheel on the other one. This is a freshie. I'll show you guys the other turbine wheel. It doesn't look that bad. And basically what we did was we took the 6767 Supercore. We pulled the billet compressor wheel off, put the cast compressor wheel on, retorqued the nut down, slipped the cast compressor cover on, and slipped it in there. That's how we did it so fast. There are no rules in work stock sled pulling about a stock turbine, so that was why we did what we did. Completely class legal. So I'll show you guys what the other one looked like. Here is the one that we broke, as you guys can see here. That's a lot of play. So when you talk about a journal bearing turbo, everyone thinks that the shaft play is bad. Now I will give you, this one is bad. This one, see how it moves a little bit? That's normal for a journal bearing. This one, you guys see that? That is not normal. That is bad. It's also got some thrust. Now, normally, these kind of failures happen when you overspeed them, bark them, stuff like that. So what happened is we were going through the sled pull, and I put the 660 horsepower dyno tune-up in it because I just wanted to murder that sled. It was going fine until it barked at the end of the first pull, which you guys saw in the previous video. And I think it just caused the compressor wheel to come a little bit out of balance, kind of tweaked it a little bit. It grabbed the cover here, and because it's a cast wheel, the cast never beats the cover. I shouldn't say never. I have never seen it do that. So what happened is it started to trim this out, threw this off balance quite a bit, and it roached these bearings. That's kind of how I think it went down. The other thing is it just got oversped, the bearings let go, and the compressor wheel felt the brunt of it. Either way, the nice part is because we caught this failure early on, it kind of machined itself almost balanced again as I drove it back. So that's why we weren't afraid to run it again. We did wastegate the living crap out of it. I only made like 22 pounds of boost going down the pull track with this one. This one, I think we were at like 36 to 38 pounds. So that would be why we did not go as far. But we wanted to remain legal to the rules, which was a cast OEM compressor wheel. This was the best we could do. And there you have it. I'll do my best to kind of show you guys the disassembly of this one. It's actually quite simple. We'll pull that clamp off just for easy use. Now, HE351s have two styles. They have the sticking out snap ring, and then the one you need snap ring pliers. I highly recommend this style because it does not require snap ring pliers, and it kind of saved us at the event. You'll get it kind of pulled out here like so. Then we're gonna take a flat blade screwdriver, pop it like that, and it is normal for this guy to be a little stuck. And here you guys can kind of see the nice part about Bradley's Supercore. You guys see the O-ring here. It's a nice, the stock one we had did not have that. And then you guys can see where it rubbed a little bit. This cover, honestly, we'll probably spin it on the lathe with a little sandpaper. It'll probably clean right up, and we'll be able to use it again. And then to get this compressor wheel off, you're gonna take, when I can find it, these guys just, all right, so it looks like 3/4 will work for us. And then compressor wheels are actually righty loosey, lefty tighty. So what I do is I grab the wrench and the Supercore, like so. Nut comes off. Compressor wheel comes off. Now something to notice, you guys kind of see the orange peel. This is something we learned not too long ago. That orange peel indicates that this compressor wheel has been oversped. Only cast wheels will do this from what I was taught. Kind of a little cool thing, but this compressor wheel is probably done. We'll get another stock one to run our sled pull class. And looking at this turbine, I think the turbine wheel is fine. We'll just stick a new set of bearings in it is probably all we'll do. I'll have Meyer do that. He's much better at this than I am. I'm just good at swapping parts. So now let's go ahead and put our 67 back together. This is the cover here. Now, one interesting thing, I called Bradley because I wasn't sure. I figured these were component balanced, but I wanted to just double check with the person that makes it. So the beauty of this turbocharger that Bradley makes is he starts with I believe a new Supercore, could be wrong. And every part in here is actually internally balanced. And what that means is you could swap all these parts without throwing off the total assembly balance here. So this turbine wheel is internally balanced. This compressor wheel is individually balanced. So we could just literally throw this back on and we're totally fine. And you guys can kind of see here, it's quite a big difference on the compressor wheel here. You guys see this open area. And then you see how this one's actually machined to be a little different. And then I'm not sure if this is by the book, but I trust my buddy Murr. He always puts a little dab of blue Loctite on the shaft here. Like so. Go ahead, put our nut, and again it's lefty, right? And then I called Bradley, again I wasn't sure. Shout out to him for being an amazing resource. And we're gonna torque this nut down to 120 inch-pounds, which is equivalent to 10 foot-pounds. We got our fancy torque wrench here, which actually goes to inch-pounds, so we'll use his spec then. And remember, it's lefty loosey, or lefty tighty rather. So we'll take it, set it down here. And she is torqued, spins freely again. And now all we gotta do is put the cover on. Pretty simple. First, I'm going ahead and get this hose off. Sacrifices were made at the dyno event. Don't do that. This hose, once it gets hot on this barb fitting, is a bear to get off. So we got that off. Now we'll go ahead, put our cover on, and a little bit of oil, or in this case, we use a little bit of assembly grease. Basically, we just want to lubricate this O-ring here. Make sure it doesn't tear when we slide the cover back on, nothing like that. Doesn't have to be a crazy amount. And this is oriented down. We know our cover goes on somewhat like this. Flip her over, and then we just got to get the snap ring on. Let's go ahead and get this thing stabbed in here. I'll save you guys the theatrics. Pretty easy. Clamp, nut, super core in there, and we'll be ready to go. All right, we got her back together. Now we'll go ahead. The intercooler's been drying for a little bit. Go ahead and get that stab back in here. Get the clamps tightened up. I always recommend putting your clamps on first. Kind of hard to sneak those suckers in here once the intercooler's in. So we'll get those set up, and then you just got to kind of fight with the AC condenser. I will admit, this cover makes it harder and a little heavier, but you know, you gotta look good. And just like that, bumper's back on, turbo, intercooler piping, air filter. All we got left is our license plate, an oil change, and then our other drive shaft showed up. This is the one actually for the 07. The other one will go back on the 05, but let me get this open. This beautiful piece is brought to you by Arizona Drive Shaft. There's their website right there. Great group of ladies that deal with you on the phone. Went ahead, just got all new parts. Wasn't even worth it. So these are, I believe, 1540 joints. I might be wrong, so if somebody corrects me in the comments, that's totally fine. Aluminum 5-inch drive shaft. Very similar to the CCI drive shaft we have under here, with two differences. Number one, this one was a lot more affordable. Same product to my eye, maybe it's different, but more affordable. The other thing that I really like about their drive shaft is instead of a month wait time, they have this puppy and the front drive shaft done in about 4 days. And the front drive shaft from them is actually in this truck, and we sled pulled with it, no issues. Now we're gonna go ahead and put this one in the right truck. This one is about a 1/2 inch longer than the 05s, so I wanna make sure we get the right drive shafts. Realistically, this one would work just fine in the 07, but this one would bottom out probably in the 05. So we'll go ahead and get those flip-flopped around, change the oil, and we are ready for the next event. So just a quick inspection. Everything looks okay. Little oil leak, but that was from the turbo when we lost it. Everything else looks pretty good. We're gonna take this through the cleaner, but in there's that Arizona drive shaft I was telling you guys about. Here's the CCI one. Here's our drive shaft loop, which conveniently got a little tweaked on the trailer, but seems to have worked itself out, so we'll just let that slide. Doesn't look like any of the welds broke, so kind of deformed the tube, but that's fine. it'll catch a drive shaft still. So now all we gotta do, zip this out, clean the bolts off, re-Loctite them, and get this other one slid in here. Not looking too shabby. Still have some assembly lube. We'll get this drained out, fresh filter, get her topped off. Dang, she looks just as good as the other one without overspray. Not bad. Might be a little long now that I look at it, but we'll see what happens when we drop the axle down. Actually, she looks just right. So, way to knock it out of the park, Arizona drive shaft. I would definitely give them your business. They can do the long bed crew cab one pieces, the mega cab one pieces, and anything else in between. We got her all wrapped up, oil changed, drive shaft changed, turbo changed. Everything looks good. Checked over the truck, nothing broke, loose, damaged, anything like that. Gonna wrap up this video. Our next event that I know of is Idaho Truck Invasion, July 10th up in Emmett. We'll be there. I think Meyer will be there. Will might even be there. If I had to guess, Meyer will do stock Dodge small compound. I'll do large single, small single. And then it sounds like the boss wants to take a crack at Unlimited. I might try to chase him and bring the triples out of retirement, but the wiser part of me knows that this block probably won't take it, so might have to just let him go for gold, because we have sleeves in this engine and I'm not sure where the breaking point is. I feel like if we keep it below that 1500 horsepower mark, this thing will live a long time. And then I'll probably be sled pulling, and then I heard that they might be dirt dragging with it, so not too sure. Anyway, guys, not too eventful. Turbocharger, cleaned it out. Hopefully you guys learned how to properly clean up a little bit after a turbo. Make sure you like this video, drop a comment down below if we'll see you in Idaho. And as always, guys, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.